All right, in this problem, notice it says draw a segment with B being between A and C. If AB equals 2x plus 10, BC equals 4x minus 20, and AC equals 80, then find AB and BC. So the first thing you need to do to solve this problem is you need to go ahead and create a picture. I think this is very difficult if you don't create a picture. So let me go ahead and I'm just going to draw a number line real quick. Or I should say a line segment. Let's make this a line segment. Put some points on it. Now there's going to be 3 points. If you look at it, right, it told us there was going to be a point B, a point A, and a point C. So it tells you that I want you to draw a segment with B being between A and C. So in other words, A is going to be at the beginning, B is going to be between it, and C is going to be at the end. So now that we have an image, we can go ahead and start putting some numbers down. Now they tell us if AB equals 2x plus 10. When they say AB, I'm going to write that right here, AB. What they're saying is from this point to this point. So I'm just going to kind of draw a bracket showing that that's the distance. So the distance between A and B is represented as 2x plus 10. So 2x plus 10 is the distance from A to B. Then it says BC is 4x minus 20. So if I go from B over to C, it is going to be 4x minus 20. And then they tell us that A to C is 80. So if I go from A all the way over to C, that is equal to 80. It's 80 units long. Now that I have this information, it wants us to find the value of AB, and it wants us to find the value of BC. So AB and BC. We want to know what the length is, right? And that's what this is right here. It's telling us how long is this section of line from B to C. How long is this section of line from A to B? So we're going to create an equation out of what we know. So now we've drawn our picture based on what they have told us. I'm going to move this down, and we're going to go ahead and create an equation out of this. Now, thinking about this, I want to solve for AB, right? I got to figure out AB. But before I can do that, I have to figure out what X is. So first, we are going to solve for X. And then that'll let us go ahead and figure out the rest. Now to do that, I'm going to create an equation. Now what I know is, there are a couple things I know. I know that the total distance from A to C is 80. And I know that from A to B it's 2x plus 10. And from B to C it's 4x minus 20. In other words, if I add this distance to the second distance, it's equal to the 80. So if I were to write that out, I got 2x plus 10. I'm going to write this out for you. 2x plus 10 plus my B is 4x minus 20. 4x minus 20. And that's going to be equal to our total distance. I'm going to do that in black. We have 80. So I created an equation out of these three numbers. The distance between A and B, the distance between B and C, and then I set it equal to 80, which is the distance of both of them put together, or if you add it both together. The first thing I want to do now is combine like terms on the left side before I do anything else. I notice I'm going to box it. I have a 2x and I have a positive 4x. They are like terms because they both have a variable. So I'm going to kind of draw this little arrow here, and I'm putting them together. In other words, I'm going to do 2 plus 4. Right? And we can use the calculator for all this. For those of you, if you don't have things memorized in your head, right, which I don't typically, just put it in your calculator. 2 plus 4, and that's going to give you 6. So I'm going to write that down. This is going to leave me with 6 x's. Now, we also have two constant values. I'm going to circle them in red. We have the positive 10 and the negative 20. So I'm going to put those together as well. So 10 and then plus negative 20. so I don't do negative numbers in my head. So I'll type in 10 plus negative 20. Hit enter, and it tells me it's negative 10. So I'm going to write that down. So this becomes minus 10. And then over here on the right, I'm just going to bring this down. There's nothing to add to the 80 right now. We just bring it down. But now we've simplified this, right? Like terms have been combined. It's a more simple equation, and it's just a two-step equation. Now to solve it, I'm going to draw my line through the equal sign, because my goal is to keep both sides balanced. I'm going to move this up a little bit too. And in order to solve, I want to get x all by itself. And right now I have 10 being subtracted from x. So what I need to do is do what we call inverse operations. So I need to move this negative 10 to the right, and in order to do that, I do the opposite of subtracting 10, which is adding 10. And then they cancel because that equals 0. And so I've gotten rid of the constant on the left. Now I want to add 10 to the right, because remember, whatever we do to the left side of the equation, we have to do the same thing to the right side of the equation. And 80 plus 10 is going to give me a value of 90. Now the next step, I'm just going to bring down my 6x real quick to line it up with the 90. So all we have left on the left side is the variable. I'm going to write variable right here. And all we have on the right side is the constant value. When I say constant, I just mean it's a number, like 90. There's no variable with it. Now our final step is to get rid of the 6 in front of the x, because we don't want 6 x's, we want just 1x. We want to know what the value is for 1x. To get rid of it, I'm simply going to divide by that 6. So I'm going to take that 6, write it underneath, do that on both sides. And I know that any number can go to itself one time. So this side, whenever you divide by the same number that's in the numerator, it's always just going to leave you with the variable, which is x. And then 90 over 6, I don't know how many times that can go in. We'll just let our calculator do that work. So I'm going to type in 90, hit my division sign, which is that little slash right over here, division. It's that button right there. And then I'm going to type in 6. And it gives me 15. So in this case, we have x is equal to 15. So we've done step 1. We have solve for x. Now that still doesn't tell me what the distance is between a and b. But now I can use this x value and substitute it for the x variable and figure out the distance between a and b. And let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to block this off a little bit. Let me get my pen. So I'm going to write AB right here. Right here, we're trying to find the distance between A and B. Now notice that AB, that distance right there, is 2x plus 10. So I got 2x plus 10. I know that x is 15, so I'm going to take that x and I'm going to substitute it in place, right, that value of 15, I'm going to substitute it in place of the x. So really I end up with 2x, or 2 times 15, plus 10. And then we'll just put that in a calculator and see what it gives us. So I'm going to put 2 parenthesis 15 close parenthesis plus 10, and that gives me 40. So I know right now that this is going to give me 40. So AB is going to be equal to 40. So that's my first answer. But now we got to go ahead and we got to solve for BC. So now we're just going to follow the same process for BC. So I'm going to go ahead and write that over here. So this is line segment BC. And it says 4x minus 20. That was given to us in a story. So I'm going to write that underneath it. 4x minus 20. And what we're going to do is we're going to substitute for the value of x again. And notice, right, we found that x was 15. So just like we substituted in place of x for AB, we're going to substitute it in place of x for BC as well. So when I write this, I have 4 times my x value, which is 15 in parentheses, because I'm replacing the x with a number, minus 20. And now that we got this, we're going to go ahead and put it in a calculator and see what we get. So 4 times 15 and the parentheses is multiplication, so you can put it in just like I wrote it, minus 20, and it gives me 40. And so I'll go ahead and write that out. This right here gave us 40. So we can say BC is equal to 40. And notice it makes sense because we go back to our line. They said that the total distance from A to C was 80. And we got 40 for AB. We got 40 for BC. If we add 40 plus 40, it gives us 80. So that we know that we did it right. So we're just going to write our final answers up here. When it says, what is AB? I'm going to go ahead and write 40. And what is BC? It is 40. And that's how you solve this type of problem. Now keep in mind, you may not always get the same value on each side, right? It depends on the problem and where that midpoint is, where this middle point is. It may not be a midpoint. They can move it over a little bit. But in this case, both sides were 40. Go ahead and solve this problem on your worksheet now.